Yeah.
But I was here, so we were able to recover in time, and bringing you the picks and bans. Lucian actually going to be banned away, and Jinx. That's okay. Lucian and Jinx being banned. I'm kind of surprised by those two.
Eh, I'm on the fence about it. Like they're banning two of the strongest AD carries right now. They're leaving up Graves. They're leaving up Urgot, and they're leaving. I never thought I'd say those damn words. I'm telling you that.
Leaving up Graves, leaving up Urgot, leaving up Corki. Uh,
Corki falling a little bit out of favor, in my opinion, simply due to the fact that hybrid image is just not as good anymore right now. So I don't know.
I think a lot of it is also to do with the resurgence of the tanks in the mid game. Corki has a lot of trouble actually trying to tear through those tanks, whereas um, some of the other champions like the Jinx or the Lucian Graves don't have as much of a hard time of dealing with that. We're going to be then Ari being the last one banned away, so a lot of high priority picks still left open. Have to see what these two teams do decide to go for.
So LeBlanc being banned out as well as Ari leads me to believe that they're trying to pick somebody who is not exactly mobile in the mid lane. And actually, I believe Ari could have been that choice. And it's going to be Dim's Shadow hovering over Annie. Um, Picking that away from Static would be the best idea here. And they actually do go ahead and lock that in. Raunchy Spider and DG9 are the next to pick here. Remember, guys, this is Oblivion versus Static, second game of the night. So, Bacon.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to win this time? We've seen both teams play.
I'm not too sure. I mean, we've only seen these two teams play a couple of times. Oblivion only having one game. Static is sitting at 1-1. So I don't know. We haven't really seen too much of them yet for me to make a full informed decision. I think I will reserve my prediction until after we see the picks and bans finish up, as Skarner gets locked in for Static.
Skarner. I went there.
Yes, you did. You most certainly did.
No
As
shame.
we do see now, the Xerath being covered looks like it is going to get locked in. Yes, it will. So, we're gonna have that huge range coming out of the mid lane.
Is exactly what I was getting at before. Xerath, very immobile mid laner. However, he does do a ridiculous amount of very long range poke damage. So the fact that they picked him up is actually extremely beneficial. And not only that, they banned LeBlanc, they banned Ari, and the enemy team banned Sejuani. So this pretty much sets them up for a nice amount of protection for this Xerath, because a lot of the engaged champions that would be good against them are picked away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely going to be having a relatively safe time in that mid lane, likely. I mean, there are still a couple champions left that can kind of deal with him, but more niche picks than common mid laners that are available. So let's see what Oblivion decides to pick up here. Going to be grabbing that big tanky Maokai and the Orianna. I was kind of expecting the Orianna to come out as the answer to the Xerath. Not having quite the same range, but still being a very safe mid laner. She can use the Command Protect, get that move speed boost to help her dodge out those skill shots from the Xerath. And of course, just using Command Attack and, the range of that ball to return harass onto him, even from a distance.
And looks like Ninja Kiwis is just going to be flipping through a bunch of champions. And Blaze 1990. The reason we don't do 3 commentators is because it gets a little too hectic. Just a little bit. And yeah, we're not Korea.
You're going to have to wait and see what he's going to pick up here. It is going to be the Thresh getting locked in the end. So grabbing that support. Who is going to be picked up by Monkey Dude?
And it's going to be Varus. I'm actually really surprised here. Varus is one of those AD carries that we don't see a lot of, but in the current tank meta, I could actually see him working very well if he gets enough peel. And he has a Thresh, he has a Skarner, he has a Xerath. Curious to see who they're going to pick as well to add on to that. This is definitely a protect the 2 carry team. This is protect the Xerath and protect the Varus.
Yeah, and oh boy, if this Callista gets locked in, it could be very scary. There's not a whole lot of tankiness on the side of Static right now. So Callista with those spears using the Rend can easily just absolutely ruin the day of multiple members on Static. I would have to assume that their last pick is going to be someone that is extremely tanky. Of course, Maokai kind of like the go-to tanky top laner. Sion is available, but he's still extremely strong and extremely good for that tanky bruiser top lane that you need. But he's been falling a little bit out of favor ever since the changes to his E. Not quite considered as strong as he used to be. I still feel he's extremely strong, and I would actually like to see a pickup like a Sion, maybe a Cho'Gath, just something. They need something that can be big and tanky.
Teemo. I'm calling it. It's gonna be the Tim, or it's gonna be the Bard. Yeah, Bard. Bard top lane, go.
Bard top lane would be kind of interesting, actually.
Bard top lane would be incredibly
awful,
obnoxious, and that
Mundo, that's another good one. In terms of the big tankiness, unfortunately, it takes a long time for him to get to that big, huge, unkillable tank status.
The thing that I don't like about Mundo, at least in this team, is the fact that they have Callista.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the champions you don't pick Mundo into. Mundo is not as mobile as, say, Maokai or Malphite or Volibear or hell, I don't know. Jarvan, Gragas, Hecarim. Right? And because of that, Mundo is just kind of be a sponge for the damage, but a very weak one at that, simply due to the fact that they have Orianna, they have Callista, so if he gets locked down, it's going to be really hard for them to go ahead and like have him survive fights long enough that he could actually do anything and provide peel for the carries. However, I think Skarner and Thresh, if they do enough, it should be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least. And the other thing is, with this Maokai versus Mundo, Maokai is going to be getting his passive off a lot because of Mundo just having to spam those cleavers and all. But with 5.7, which is what we are playing on, the Maokai's early game passive was nerfed. The amount of heal he gets is heavily reduced by, I think it was 3% in the early game. So 3% of the max hit. It used to be 7% max hit points. Now it's only 4%. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, if it does have a drastic effect on his kit. I haven't been able to have a chance to really see what kind of effect it has, but I feel like he should still be okay against Mundo because of the fact that he can just kind of hide behind his own minions and to body block for those cleavers that Mundo's going to be trying to throw. But looking at the summoner spells, we have on the side of Oblivion, he's going to be Dimmed Shadow in the top lane at the Maokai, Tesk in the jungle on Lee Sin, Dunazuka in the mid lane on Orianna, and then Literal and Lemon Dog in the bottom lane on Callista and Annie.
And I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to go handle a very loud parrot.
All right. Well, just ran down the lineup for the side of Oblivion. So.
And oh, you could hear my parrot still.
Yep.
Dang it! Well, anyway, on Static, we have Raunchy Spider on Thresh with Exhaust Flash. We have DG9 on Xerath in the mid lane with Ignite Flash. Ninja Kiwis in the jungle on Skarner with Smite Flash, of course. Monkey Dude as Varus in the bot lane with Heal and Flash. And in the top lane, we see Mundo from Ganon Dwarf. And oh my god, this bird is going to drive me insane with Teleport Flash.
Yep, that's going to be. I mean, I don't know. We mentioned it's kind of a protect the carries comp, but at the same time, it's not. I'm really confused by what they're going to be trying to run with their. It almost seems to me like they're just going to be kind of trying to just keep it to 1v1, 2v2 fights, like small skirmishes instead of big team fights. I don't know. I'm really confused by what Static is bringing to the table here.
It's going to be interesting to see how they play the team fights, but laning phase I feel is going to be in their favor.
All right, well, we are going to be getting on over to the loading screen. That new fancy schmancy loading screen with the pretty backgrounds. At some point, when the client decides to load it. There it goes. We're going to be seeing Goalkeeper Maokai, Traditional Lee Sin, Classic Orianna, Blood Moon Callista, and Red Riding Annie on the side of Oblivion. And then a Blood Moon Thresh, Battlecast Xerath, Classic Skarner, Blight Crystal Varus, and Classic Dr. Mundo for Static. So Oblivion walking away from the loading screen with that skin advantage. I did.
Can you still hear him?
I don't know. Yep.
Damn it! Well, he's on the other side of the place. Oh well, that's gonna be in the background, I guess. He'll quiet down eventually.
You gotta put a towel over his cage, make him think it's nighttime, so he goes.
He's not even in his cage. I just stuck him in the bathroom. His cage is behind me.
Let's put his cage in the bathroom, put a towel over it, so he thinks it's night. And
That's
goes to
too
sleep.
much effort.
Well, we are still just waiting. There he goes. There goes Ganondorf.
Right when Ganondorf starts to load in, he's quiet. Good. Damn it.
We're just going to try and tone that out as we do get onto the Rift. We do move the champions around because Static not lining up for us.
Yet again.
Oblivion did, though. So, let's go Oblivion. I am officially rooting for Oblivion because they lined up in order, so I didn't have to move them. That is all it takes to sway my vote to your team. Instant pings coming out.
Yet again with the bug splat.
Alright, well, the gates are down. Both teams heading out of their base. It does look like Static is going to be wanting to get into that bottom lane tribe rush. DGeater9 leading the charge. Not necessarily the person you want to have in front, but
He's Xerath. He's okay.
Mundo lagging a little bit behind, just like he was on the loading screen. But both teams are in the area. They're going to be looking to get a ward down here. And there's the Death Sentence landing onto Annie. She's going to get pulled in and ignited. The Ignite is ticking. The flash from Varus to secure the first blood. So not only did they get the flash out of Annie, they got the first blood as well. It did cost them an Ignite from Xerath and a flash from Varus. But it's all worth it for that first blood. An assist onto only 3 members, as Mundo was not able to get there in time. But that does result in slightly more gold for the team because of, or for the individual players that were involved. Now everyone does back off. So we got a level 1 first blood. A rarity here in last. Still no full-on level 1 team fight.
I swear, I'm just going to end up soundproofing my entire apartment.
We are going to be seeing a standard jungle start, it looks like. Both junglers starting on the bottom side of the map. And neither top laner opting to start on one of the jungle camps.
Apparently there's an echo. Interesting. Well, in any case, between the two teams here, I feel like Mundo is going to be okay against Maokai in the top lane, seeing as how he doesn't have mana to deal with, and he could just sustain nicely just throwing out cleavers every now and again. But Maokai is going to scale up a lot better. Maokai is the super tank in this current meta, and he has been for so many patches now that it's going to be hard for a champion like Mundo to come back into relevance, who, as everybody remembers, in Season 4, he was the king.
Yeah, he was absolutely the best tank, but now tanks have gotten some more options, and their build paths have been, slightly tweaked up, giving them more viability. So because of that, it's not just Mundo being the king of tanks anymore. But looking to get a resurgence on him is Ganondorf. It's up in this top lane. They're just going to be farming it up for a while. Neither of them are really going to be able to kill each other.
And there goes a hook onto the Annie. Annie going to be getting the stun onto the Varus. She's going to be taken extremely low here, though. She is sitting at about a third of her HP. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we see the engage from Maokai onto the Mundo. Mundo going to be taking quite a bit of damage here. Maokai also though. So Mundo should be able to sustain that up just fine, seeing as how he just throws a cleaver, heals up a little bit, autos, heals up a little bit, and he's just going to be able to sustain against that Maokai. Where Maokai has to worry about having enough mana to be able to out-damage the Mundo. But in the bot lane, we see Kalista and Annie relentlessly pushing the Varus and Thresh into their tower. So, honestly, this gives a slight advantage to Varus, in my opinion, seeing as how he did get first blood, and they're allowing him to get free experience without really having to, without really giving him the option of, I'm going to go up and farm, but instead I'm going to take an auto attack to the face or an Annie stun to the face. So he's basically in a position where he can just be safe, which is exactly what you want on a champion like Varus.
Yeah, and that's really what he's going to be looking to do for the entirety of the laning phase. But once the junglers start getting involved, I think it's going to be so important to see where they decide to focus their attention. If they both go to the same spot, or if they see which one makes the first move, if the other one can answer immediately. It's going to be so integral to this game, because the lanes are fairly even to a point, except for the fact that Xerath early on, until Orianna gets a few levels, is going to be really bullying her around.
So right now, there goes the stun from Annie onto the Varus, and here comes the Skarner looking to get the gank. Here is Annie going to be stunned up if she still does not have her flash. This is going to be another kill going down. However, Raunchy Spider picks that one up for himself. Not patient enough to let Varus get the kill. However, Annie's flash may have been up if they waited too long. However, it is still down. So they could have let that go over to Varus, but Thresh was like, nah, I want it. And there goes the stun onto Orianna, as followed up by the Xerath W. Xerath doing very nicely, and there goes the death sentence onto the Kalista. Kalista gonna be flayed as well. She's gonna be taken extremely low, forced to burn her heal, forced to burn her flash. Lee Sin coming in for the save. However, he's not gonna do all that much.
Yeah, just making sure that they don't try and dive, make sure that they know he's around. This Kalista is gonna be getting back to the fountain, but we just saw the first gank came in from Skarner. They got the kill out of it, and there was no answer from Lee Sin. He was still just trying to farm up the camps. So Skarner putting out that early aggression, getting an advantage for his team.
Xerath now level 6. Orianna extremely low. He's going to be throwing out the ultimate. There's one that misses. There's two and it misses. And sigh. Stop running around. There's no more.
He didn't quite know where the Orianna was, and of course didn't have the vision either, so unable to pick up the kill despite getting Orianna extremely low. It is going to force her to have to recall out of lane and continue to put her behind. Lee Sin, you're going to be covering that lane so that the CS doesn't go to waste under the tower.
And right now, there's a slight CS discrepancy in favor of Varus. He has 35 CS to Kalista's 29. He has a completed BF sword to her pickaxe, though.
Yeah, it's about to become a very difficult lane for Annie and Kalista, because that damage difference is going to be so massive for quite some time, actually, because, Kalista now has to farm up an entire BF sword in order to catch up. So
either that or she has to get a nice amount of kills. Roughly 3 kills should be able to set her right back or even further ahead of the Varus. But that is only assuming that the Varus doesn't get any further ahead himself.
yeah, exactly. Skarner is sitting around on this bottom side of the map, and with that lantern, he can gank so easily from the lane. As long as if a death sentence lands, it's pretty much Skarner's going to be able to get in, but he is going to be backing off. Nice job.
Skarner may be able to get in, but you also have to realize this time Annie has her flash. So if they manage to burn her flash first, then the gank should definitely be possible. Orianna eating quite a bit of damage. Xerath eating the return damage from the command attack, command dissonance. Orianna actually doing okay despite the fact that she got pushed out of lane so early.
Yeah, I mean, she got the Chalice of Harmony, so going to be getting that little bit of extra magic resist to deal with the Xerath, who opted for the Fiendish Codex. So already seeing the difference in build paths from the mid laners, but getting that magic resist for her is going to be really important because, again, Xerath's just able to harass from such a long range. Orianna now finally at a point where she can kind of answer that, but by getting that magic resist to be able to deal with the damage that Xerath does, it's going to help her out immensely. While up top, see a Catalyst of the Protector for the Maokai, very likely going to be looking to have a Rod of Ages as his first item, and a Spectre's Cowl for the Mundo, just looking to be able to soak up the magic damage from the Maokai, get himself to a point where he can't be bullied around the way he has been. Although, despite the fact that Maokai has been bullying him around pretty well in terms of damage, you have to give credit to the Mundo for the fact that he's kept up in CS very nicely.
Doesn't surprise me at all. He's been using the cleavers to CS basically, and Maokai isn't pushing the lane hard enough that whenever he throws out his cleaver. Oh, there goes the command shockwave onto the Xerath. Xerath going to be taken very low here. There's the flash out of Lee Sin. Xerath trying to flash toward the turret. Lee Sin going to be stunned up under the turret as well. He's going to be taken down. However, Xerath goes down in return. Lee Sin picking up the kill there. But Xerath did get the return kill, so it's not all for naught.
Nice death sentence landing in bottom.
The death sentence lands as well as the chain of corruption, tendrils of corruption coming out of the Varus, and that's going to be the Fate's Call from Kalista saving the Annie.
Yeah, not quite sure if it was needed. The Fate's Call came in a little bit late. It seemed like most of the burst damage that they were going to be dealing with was already gone, but better to be safe than sorry.
Another death sentence landing onto the Kalista this time. Annie and Kalista going to be eating a lot of damage here. The heal gets used by Kalista. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we do see Maokai being aggressive against this Mundo, eating a tower shot as well as a cleaver. Mundo is going to be fine to just take that and just walk away, though.
Yeah, right now, this Varus and Thresh lane really throwing their weight around being the dominant duo in the process. They are up almost about 20 CS, and of course having those 2 kills, as right now they are going to be looking to pick up the dragon, just pulling it out of the pit. Looks like they are actually going to be backing off, though, not knowing that there's going to be enough members from Oblivion there to fight this.
Not really much that I can imagine happening right now. The dragon is still up. No team has even bothered to motion toward that objective. There's just a ward there for Oblivion, but not too sure if they're actually possibly deciding to go for it. Ultimate does get popped by Mundo there. So this is Maokai's chance to go in, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He goes in with a Vengeful Maelstrom, but he just pops it immediately. And he's going to be eating Varus Q right to the mouth. That piercing arrow is doing a ton of damage right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even if Thresh doesn't follow up on a death sentence that lands, it's still so effective because it just gives Varus time to charge up that piercing arrow and then hit it on the immobile target. So did almost dropping Annie to almost half health while she was still well underneath her tower is just such a strong tool to have.
Also, one thing that I really like about one thing I really like about Static's team composition here is the fact that they did pick Mundo, which was a little strange at the beginning, but then I realized they have no way to kill him in the top lane, even if Lee Sin was there. There is no Ignites coming out of Maokai. He's just rushing a bit of magic resist, and Maokai just does not do enough damage. And even if Lee Sin is there, Lee Sin does do a slight amount of burst damage, seeing as how he did build a little damage. But even that isn't going to be enough for somebody who's as tanky as Mundo, and he just always has his ultimate up.
Yeah, it's going to be... I mean, but we're still seeing that Maokai is doing a great job against Mundo. He's going to be winning this lane. The tower in 4 is going to be falling in favor of Maokai, very likely. But, oh my... In the mid lane.
Xerath's going to be eating a lot of damage there. However, he does use his Q, get the kill onto Orianna. Is the Lee Sin going to be able to land another shockwave? No, he actually misses the shockwave this time. Xerath's going to be safe. Another kill going over to him. And Static doing very nicely right now during this laning phase. Exactly what I said before. Their laning phase is a lot stronger.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good job, especially the Xerath. Seeing that situation, he knew that the jungler was there. He was already fighting the jungler, but he knew that Orianna was low as well. And as soon as Orianna came in to try and get, help Lee Sin with the kill, Xerath just immediately turned it around, picked himself up a kill, and then was able to dodge out that shockwave and keep himself alive in the process. Some vision wards going on.
Clearing out that pink ward. Lee Sin going to be warding it again. Is he going to throw the shockwave? He does. Ah, unfortunate. I don't know why he used sweeper. He had the passive from Raptors. But anyway, there goes the death sentence onto the Lee Sin. Lee Sin should be going down here. Tendrils of Corruption going out from the Varus. Skarner picking up the kill there. The Tibbers Fate Call Tibbers combo actually went out there as well. Varus going to be, oh no, Skarner picking up a double kill there. Is he going to get the triple? They're going to be looking to aggress onto this Kalista. There goes the death sentence. However, it is not close enough to land. Oh, and here comes Xerath, and there's the damage. Another kill going over to Static. Third kill right now in that engagement. They're going to be looking to take the dragon. Meanwhile, Orianna pushing the mid lane. That tower should stay alive, though. In the top lane, we see Mundo just endlessly sitting in that top lane. He finished a Spirit Visage, so Maokai not going to be a threat to him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Maokai is still bullying as much as he can, but just not going to be able to force Mundo out of lane as he just heals up more damage that he's taking. But the thing is, Maokai is still constantly getting damage onto that tower. And, wow, it's actually minions picking up the tower in the bottom lane while...
Oh, and the sombrero. I hope you know what I mean by that.
I do not, actually.
The sombrero. That is what happens when you miss with an Orianna ultimate.
Ah, okay. I've never heard it called the sombrero before.
Actually, it's been called the sombrero on the LCS.
I've never heard that name, though. Are you sure? I've literally...
Yeah, I'm 100% sure.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, Maokai, even though he hasn't been able to really push Mundo out of lane, and Mundo has been keeping up relatively well in CS, that tower, as we just saw, is almost down at this point. And it's mostly just because of minions. Maokai has barely been touching the tower himself. He's just been relentlessly pushing the minions into that structure and letting them do the work, while Mundo, not the fastest wave clearer, tries to deal with it.
That's a bit of an understatement, don't you think? He's going to be popping his ultimate just to go ahead and sustain a little bit longer. It's up every 50 seconds, or 58 seconds.
Yeah, he's been popping it pretty much every 58 seconds because of how aggressive Maokai has been. I mean, look at this. Even the second those minions are gone, Maokai just jumps in, tries to get some damage on, but Mundo just heals it. But then the minions get back on the tower.
And honestly, I am still really liking Static's chances here. Kalista, Orianna, and Annie are there in the mid lane. However, Orianna going to be caught up by the Skarner ultimate. Are they going to get the kill onto her? No, the Fate's Call actually going in off on the Yanni. She's going to be doing some damage to the Xerath. However, it's not enough. There goes the Shockwave onto the Thresh. Not the target you wanted to hit. Xerath picking up the kill with his ultimate off the backside there. And Lee Sin should be going down here as well. Double kill going over to the Xerath. Meanwhile, Thresh trying to run. He goes down to Orianna. Dunazuka picking up the kill there, as well as just sort of providing a little bit for her team, I guess.
However, while all that was going on, Monkey Dude was just still sitting in the bottom lane. He wasn't even part of that fight. And I don't know, it's looking very good for Static, and unfortunately not terribly good for Oblivion. Although Mundo and Maokai getting involved in this mid lane. The Orianna running for her life.
Orianna should be able to go down here. Ninja Kiwi picking up the kill there with the Q from Skarner. And right now, Skarner's 3-0-5. You would expect Lee Sin to have that number at this point.
Yeah, you really would. But Skarner having been doing a great job of supporting those side lanes. Oh my goodness.
And there's the Varus with the kill onto Annie. And Static doing fantastically here against Oblivion.
And it's kind of, you know, their key to winning here is by not having these full-on team fights. When it was a full-on, like, everyone was all together, or the majority of people were together, the fight was pretty even. But once the Static right now just doing a great job of getting the numbers in their favor when they go for these fights. Like, just now, they got the Orianna caught. They caught Annie. Like, they're just catching people out with the Death Sentence, with the Skarner ultimate, and turning that into victories for them, and then just pushing the objectives. Because now they're going to be moving in onto this top lane.
Oh, and they're going to be engaging onto this Maokai. Maokai throwing down the Vengeful Maelstrom, making sure he is tanky enough to sustain all of that damage. They're not going to be able to kill him, but they might be able to get this tower. In the mid lane, we see Annie and Orianna trying to get the push on. Oh, and there's the Death Sentence onto the Maokai. Maokai going to be going in with the Twisted Advance onto a minion, and that's going to be Monkey Dude picking up the kill onto Din's Shadow. Meanwhile, we see the Shockwave coming out from Xerath, trying to get the kill onto Lee Sin. Is he going to get the last one? He does get it, actually!
Very unfortunate from Lee Sin. He kind of walked into that second shot, trying to juke out the ultimate, and ended up over-juking and walking into it.
It's okay. Lee Sin's blind. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, he couldn't see it. Fair enough.
I mean, how can you tell? You have a blindfold on.
Oh,
and there's the damage onto the Orianna. She is so low here. And this is exactly what I was getting at with the Xerath pick. Because they didn't pick a more mobile mid laner against them, or rather they couldn't because most of them were banned. Xerath was just able to dominate in that mid lane. It's almost like the matchup between Xerath and Azir in a way, simply due to the fact that Azir does very poorly against Xerath, due to the fact that he can't get close enough himself that he can always reliably do damage to Xerath, but Xerath doesn't have to be close to you to always reliably do damage.
Yeah, as long as if you take away the mobility, the highly mobile champions, Xerath is just so strong. And the other thing is that, I mean, Trek on this Lee Sin, I really have not been impressed by what he's been able to do. I've seen a lot of Sonic Waves go by the wayside, and a couple other questionable decisions from him, but, I mean, it's obviously not all on him.
You mean Tesk?
Tesk, yes, I did mean Tesk. And at a quick glance, it looked like Trek. My apologies. But, yeah, I really have not been too impressed by his Lee Sin. Maybe another jungler could have done a bit better for him. But we are going to be seeing...
the wet noodle fight in the top lane.
Yep. And Mundo goes, oh man, that's starting to hurt. Let me just pop this ability and pop my ultimate, and I'll be back at full.
Oh, and there's another dragon actually going down in favor of Static. Second dragon of the game for them. They're looking to maybe get a push on in the bot lane to try to catch out Lee Sin. Lee Sin eating a bit of damage there. I'm just not even going to call the top lane fight. No one's going to die. Orianna in a very bad spot here, though. She's going to be able to get away. She's got the nice slow onto the Thresh. Meanwhile, we do see the turret going down in favor of Oblivion in the top lane. Those minions finally took it down.
Yeah, he's had those minions pushing in. Oh my goodness. Nope, not quite going to get stunned up. If that stun had hit.
Oh. Wait. Hold on. Did that happen?
I believe it did.
He ulted himself.
Yep. Maybe just doing some experimenting, see if he can. Or just showing off. So you're like, I'm so strong, I can get hit by this ultimate, it doesn't even hurt.
I know, right? It's almost like that Xerath isn't fed to me, God. So right now, it looks like Static don't really know what to do right now. With the amount of vision that they have, and the lack of vision that is coming out of Oblivion, they could go for the Baron. However, it looks like they are not even thinking about that as an objective right now.
Yeah, that was... If they can stall this out long enough.
Oh, and there's the engage with the twisted advance onto the Thresh. Again, not the droid you're looking for. He's going to be taken down. Maokai's going to be taken down under the tower. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we see Annie and Lee Sin going onto the Xerath. There goes the Dragon's Rage. Annie picking up the kill onto Xerath with an auto attack. I'm pretty sure they wanted to give that over to Callista.
Or at least to Lee Sin. But either way, I think they're just going to be happy to get the kill, get the shutdown onto Xerath. I mean, right now, the way that Static is playing, like you said, it's almost as if they don't really know what to go for. And that's a big problem. If they if they don't know how to close the game out, if this goes long enough, the damage is eventually going to be coming through. Callista is going to get strong. Annie and Orianna are going to start doing some solid AoE damage. And if they're able to catch up just purely based on time, then I could definitely foresee some trouble for Static.
Oh, and there goes Maokai going for the engagement onto the entirety of Static there. He's not eating any damage, but Orianna is going to go down. Ninja Kiwi's picking up the kill there onto Orianna with a couple of auto attacks. Meanwhile, Monkey Dude picking up the kill onto the Lee Sin. He has a completed Runon's Hurricane, rather. There's a double kill going over to Monkey Dude, and they're going to get the hook onto the Maokai this time. Are they going to be able to get him at this point? No. He's just a little too tanky. He's sitting on a fully stacked Rod of Ages, a Kindle Gem, and Spectre's Cowl.
Yeah, they should be able to take this tower with this wave of minions. But that was the fight that they needed. They needed to do something to get themselves in.
Oh, and there goes the Death Sentence onto the Maokai, but Maokai going to be taking about to have HP, but Callista in a very awkward spot there. She gets stunned up by the Xerath, and Varus picking up the kill there for himself onto Callista. 6-0-3 on this Varus right now. One of those 80 carries we don't see often because he's so immobile, and we don't really see a lot of people capable enough of to play him, simply due to the fact that he is a hard 80 carry to play.
Yeah, the big thing that happened in that fight in the mid lane, the original one, was the one thing I noticed: Orianna died without using her ultimate. And right off the bat, she had gotten the ball in and could have used the ultimate, and it would have hit 3 members. But she, for some reason, held on to it, and then ended up going down before she could use it at all. And that's a big problem for Oblivion. You cannot have such a huge ability, such as the Command Shockwave. You can't go down. You cannot afford to go down without using that ability in a fight. Like, even if you aren't sure if it's going to hit multiple members,
at least
if you're going to be going
in a team fight, you have to use it. And an ability that doesn't get used is worse than ability getting used and missing. Because you're at least trying to hit something, but if you don't even make the effort to hit whatever whatever your team is trying to take down, then it's just kind of an ability that's not going to be worth anything. Yeah,
even if it misses, you can make the excuse that it was just being used for zoning or things like that. But I mean, at the start of that fight, she had the ability. She had it on 3 people. It would have knocked up 3 people in the middle of the start of that, but right before Annie went in, but it just didn't get used, and I'm not entirely sure why. But again, Oblivion going to have their work cut out for them if they want to come back in this game. I mean, it's definitely not over yet, but being down 10,000 gold, almost 10,000 gold, 25 minutes in, means that they are going to have a very tall hill to climb.
Also, something. You see how Maokai is sitting at 0-1-0 right now?
Mm-hmm.
Mundo is 0-0-7.
I mean, to be fair, there's only 3 kills.
Despite that, though, Mundo actually has been a relatively big factor. He's soaking up the tower damage. He's soaking up the damage coming out of Tibbers and out of Callista. And he's doing his job as the tank.
Yeah, Maokai, I mean, he is super tanky. He actually won the lane. So he does have, I mean, he's even with the Mundo. He's got the same amount of items. But it's just, unfortunately,
not quite.
I mean, he's got tier 2 boots.
And a cloth armor.
Oh, okay. No, the cloth armor is canceled out by the Doran's Ring.
They got tired of waiting for that thing to go away.
Maokai just...
Guys, come on! They knew you were there already!
Maokai just dispersing the death brush with the sapling. But here comes the dragon being started up.
This would be the 3rd dragon of the game going down in favor of Static if they do manage to take it. And, oh, wow. Skarner can't take all the lords. Lee Sin gets the steal indeed. However, it looks like he might go down for his shovels. There goes the ultimate coming out of Zera. Is he going to be able to get it? No, he actually just barely manages to survive. That was a great steal from Lee Sin.
That was a phenomenal job from Lee Sin. Oh, now Maokai, you need to be careful there. You're a big tanky tree, but there's still a lot of members right around the corner. But yeah, getting in, getting out, got the dragon, and everyone escaped with their life. So great job by Oblivion.
However, one thing to note, they did have Lee Sin burn his flash in order to get out of that alive. So that engage of the flash Lee Sin kick or Dragon's Rage is not going to be present for a fight if it does go down.
Yeah, we also see right now they're just going to take that top tower. Again, Oblivion in a position where they really can't, they still can't fight full on 5v5. But if they can just defend, just sit in their base, sit underneath these inhibitor towers, make sure that they don't get grabbed by that Thresh death sentence or the Skarner ultimate and pulled out. Like, they can still defend very easily. They have a lot of AoE between Orianna, Annie, Maokai going and tanking things up, and Kalista just sitting on the back line putting out damage. She's working on that Runin's Hurricane to apply AoE from her as well, but they can definitely defend this as long as they don't get caught.
They can defend it, but right now, Static need to stop trying to get the push.
And there's the poke from...
Unless they manage to secure a kill, they're wasting their time.
I don't know, I mean, with the Xerath, they're going to have that poke.
Oh, and there goes the Xerath ultimate going out as he's trying to hit the Kalista. It's not going to go off. The eventual Maelstrom does get popped by Maokai. Meanwhile, Kalista in the backline getting taken down very low. Fate's Call going off from the Annie. Annie is going to go down to Monkey Dude, though. That's 5 members taking her down. Wow, that piercing arrow is just doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Orianna just got back from being super low, and she's already almost at half HP.
It was the poke from Xerath and Varus earlier that really allowed that to happen, because they forced the Orianna to have to recall. Oh, nice shockwave!
Oh, that was a beautiful shockwave, but where's the rest of the damage going to come in? Kalista trying to get the damage out as well. There goes the Tendrils of Corruption coming out from the Varus, and they're going to get the kill onto Orianna. Skarner picking up the kill there. And no deaths on the side of Static.
Yeah, and it's the fact that Annie and Orianna have not been able to coordinate themselves together. I mean, Orianna had to recall, had to go back to the fountain because of the harassment she took from Xerath and Varus. That when Annie went in with the Fate's Call from Kalista, dropped the Tibber, stunned everyone. It was a beautiful situation, but they didn't have the damage from Orianna to follow up on. If she had been there, if she hadn't gotten poked out and was able to be with the team, they could have easily turned that. And then that second fight, you had a beautiful shockwave from Orianna, but then you didn't have Annie there to follow up. You didn't have, they aren't able to coordinate everything going in at the same time because of the timing is just off. Kalista and Annie try and go in when Orianna's not there. Orianna goes in when the Annie isn't there. So if they have everyone together, they could potentially win these fights. But the problem is that with a AoE wombo combo fight like that, you need to be able to get all of it off at the same time.
So right now, what do you think they have to do to try and come back here on Oblivion's side? They're down 12,000 gold, and it just seems like there is very little they can do.
They need to pretty much do exactly what I was just saying. When you sit under the turret, don't get harassed as much.
See, okay, but the thing is, if they sit under the turret, they're going to be letting every single objective go at this point.
But they can't contest them. They're not in a position where they can win a fight over an objective.
They can't win a fight, but they need to still make their presence known across the map in some way, shape, or form.
I don't know. I mean,
the slight
really
vision, the slight. I wouldn't say that. If you can still catch them in a very bad fight. Let's just say they're doing the Baron, right? Maokai going in with the Orianna ball on him would be a deterrent for them to keep staying on that Baron, especially if they're all in the pit. Maokai just go in, land the shockwave, and with Baron still hitting them, it's just going to tear them up. And then if you combine that with a Tibber stun, it would just completely set them up for a nice fight, even if they don't have enough damage just yet.
Well, that's true. You still have to catch them out at the Baron. I mean, The Static right now, they know that they're stronger in fights. We already saw them sit there and try and set up a death bush at Dragon, waiting for them to just come in. And so I just don't see Static going for a Baron without just getting a kill or two first, or things like that. They're not even looking towards that area. They don't even have vision on Baron. So it's not their focus, and you can't try and rely a victory or a fight on something that your opponent isn't even going to be considering doing.
And this is why Dignitas exists. Maokai's finally starting to take a little bit of damage from the Xerath. Emerald Anomicon is doing work. This Kalista is just eating all of those Xerath Qs. Not really able to do much. Normally on Kalista, you wouldn't build an Infinity Age first. And there goes Skarner with the engagement onto the Orianna. Orianna gonna be taken extremely low here. She's still alive. There goes the shockwave onto her. Thresh set flying after the Dragon's Rage from Lee Sin. And Skarner picking up the kill onto Orianna. Meanwhile, Kalista does pick up the kill onto Thresh as well. There goes the flash out of Annie. And there's the slow coming out of Skarner. And the shockwave does miss from Lee Sin. And the Righteous Glory did get popped by Annie as well. So it's a 1-for-1 in favor of Static, simply due to the fact that mid laner for support. Yep. Always worth it.
I mean, on one hand, yeah, it's mid laner for support, but on the other hand, you have to feel good as Oblivion to get a 1-for-1 trade and not lose the fight there. But unfortunately, because of the fact that it is Orianna, they are not going to be able to continue to look for another fight here. And Static is just going to go pick up their third dragon of the game, unless Lee Sin can get another steal, which I don't know. He's not even going to be able to get close. This is going down way too quickly.
Yeah, I really have doubts that the Lee Sin's going to... Yep, there it goes. And that's going to be the third dragon of the game going... Or fourth dragon of the game.
Third.
However, fourth dragon of the game.
Oh, of the game. Okay.
But third for Static. Let me finish before you say no.
So right now for Static, they've been having such a hard time trying to siege though, that I would really like to see them just go and get Baron. You know you're ahead. You know that they can't fight you. You need just go get the objective. Just group up.
They honestly could just go get the Baron, and before the Oblivion could even respond to it, they can take it down. They have Varus, they have Mundo who can tank it up, and they have Skarner who shreds objectives. This is their chance to go ahead and take that big objective off the map, and not only that, allow them to push into the very heavy wave clear team of Oblivion. They haven't been able to take a single inhibitor tower, and it's been almost 8-9 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on this tower since the last dragon was up too. So, like you said, about...
and there's the Xerath ultimate, and nope.
But again, they got the poke down, they forced Kalista back, and then they aren't able to do anything with this. They don't have a very strong siege. They have the poke, but they just aren't able to deal with the wave clear. And looks like they are going to finally get a little bit of damage, but Varus not hitting the turret.
There goes the engage onto Mundo from Maokai, but it's not going to do all that much, honestly. And this is what I was getting at before. They're doing it yet again. They're wasting their time.
They are really just... It's allowing Oblivion to get themselves closer and closer unless Orianna gets caught.
Oh, and Orianna does go down. That is their opening there. Orianna being taken down there by Xerath, of course, and Maokai going to be going in onto the Skarner. Skarner tanking up a lot of that damage from the tower. There goes the flash Tibber stun from the Annie, and Xerath picking up the kill onto Kalista as well as the tower. Now that the tower is dead, Varus is safe to go back in. There goes the slow onto the Annie. Annie going to be taken down by the Xerath. Double kill going over to him. And now it's Varus engaging onto the Maokai. Is Maokai going to go down? Yes, Monkey Dude picking up the kill onto Dim Shadow. This is going to be an inhibitor. And they might motion towards trying to end the game. If not, they will most definitely motion toward the Baron.
Yeah, they should be able to get at least one Nexus tower here. Again, only Lee Sin up. Orianna is about to respawn, but they still have 10 seconds on anybody else. They can definitely end. They have more than enough damage.
Oh, and there's a shockwave onto the Mundo. Not going to do all that much. And the burst damage coming out of Varus and Xerath in unison using their Qs. However, this should be the Nexus going down. Thresh is still alive, and that is going to be the game going in favor of Static. 36 minutes in, 24-5.
Yeah, Static just while we weren't happy with the way they went about ending it, they were able to finally get that catch onto the Orianna. She got a little bit too close to the wall, and Xerath able to pick up the kill. Really just opened up the floodgates and able to just push straight through, get the victory. Again, definitely could have used some work in their ability to close out the game. That's something they're going to definitely have to work on because other teams in the league are not going to be as forgiving against a team that isn't able to close things out and be decisive. So, congratulations to Static, moving on up to 2-1 in the season. And unfortunately for Oblivion,